I, 29-year-old male, my parents divorced when I was 7 years old. After the divorce, I initially lived with my mom and spent weekends with my dad. When I was 9, my mom moved in with her boyfriend, and I was sent to live with my dad. At first, it was fine because my mom would regularly meet with me, but over time, those visits became less frequent. When I was 12, my dad introduced me to his girlfriend, who I could tell didn't like me. I didn't understand why. By then, I was only seeing my mom once every 3 months or so. My dad told me to get used to his girlfriend, but we never really got along. A year later, my dad told me I would be living with my grandmother, his mom, from now on because his girlfriend was pregnant and wanted a calm house. I was angry and caused a scene. His girlfriend told my dad that I was always like this around her, which was a lie, but my dad believed her and sent me off to my grandmother. I told my mom I wanted to live with her, but she said that she and her partner traveled the world all the time and that I needed to stay put for school. So I lived with my grandmother. My parents occasionally checked in on me, meeting me on my birthday, or sending essentials until I was 16 years old. After that, the contact became even less frequent. No birthday calls or money for essentials. My grandmother had to go back to work to support me. I had no idea that my dad had married his girlfriend and had 2 other kids, or that my mom had gotten married and had twins until my grandmother told me. I started to resent both of them, but my sweet grandmother kept me grounded. She provided for me, ensured I graduated, and helped me get into a good college. When I turned 18, as a gift to her, I changed my last name to her maiden name. She wasn't initially happy, but accepted it later. My parents hadn't contacted me or my grandmother for over a year and a half at that point. I went to college, graduated, got a good job, got engaged, and have generally had a good life. I haven't spoken to my parents in all this time. My grandmother passed away 4 years ago. I tried to text and call the only phone number I had for my dad, but it didn't go through, and I was the only family member at her funeral. Recently, I got an email from my dad and mom asking to meet and reconnect. I don't know how they got my personal email. My dad says he wants to apologize and attend my wedding, and his kids want to meet their big brother. He also mentioned that my mom wants to meet me and apologize as well. He even had the audacity to write that he was disappointed in me changing my last name, but understood it. He didn't even ask about his own mother. I've already moved on without them, hit multiple milestones in my life and career without their support. So I sent a reply stating I don't know him or my mom, added a few other harsh words, and told them never to contact me again. I told my fiancé, who comes from a big family and is very family-oriented, and she was upset, saying I was too harsh. She believes I should give them a chance since it's been so long. We had a huge argument about this. She kept saying how family is important, and I should forgive and forget. Now I have a feeling she might be involved with them, and she might be the one who gave them my email. I talked to my close friends, and all of them say I am justified in my stance. But my fiancé's outburst is making me think about it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. When I wasn't talking to my mother 30 years ago, I heard that nonsense all the time. And people looked at me like I was the one who told her daughter she ruined her life. My mom was not invited to my wedding, and I am so happy. It would have made the day awful. She sent a gift that I returned unopened because the last time she used my dad to give me a card, she signed it, "Your ex-mom." Everyone thought she was reaching out to mend fences. I'm wondering if they are getting complaints from their kids wanting to know why, once they found out about you, you are not around. They feel the need to show their new partners that they are good parents. Those children should worry about their parents. It can happen to them too. You do you and marry someone who wants what makes you happy, not what makes them happy. Comment 2. Your fiancé's reaction is a big clue that she has tried to get you talking to your parents again. As her family is so important to her, she probably just doesn't understand how abandoned you feel. After so many years, you no longer have relationships with either of your parents. You need to discuss this, as she might be wanting them to participate in your wedding. ETA. I am wondering if the parents are also thinking that OP could be useful to them in their old age. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post, and I wanted to give you an update on what's been happening. First off, thanks for all your support and advice. So, a few days after my last post, my fiancé and I had another big argument about my parents. She kept insisting that I should give them a chance and that family is important. I got really frustrated and asked her straight up if she had given them my email. She denied it at first, but then she broke down and admitted that she had been in contact with them for a few weeks. Apparently, my dad had somehow found her on social media and reached out to her. He told her his side of the story and made it seem like he was the victim in all of this. My fiancée, being the kind-hearted person she is, felt bad for him and agreed to help him reconnect with me. She gave him my email and even suggested that he and my mom should come to our wedding. I was so angry and hurt when I found out. I couldn't believe that she would go behind my back like that and betray my trust. We had a huge fight, and I ended up storming out of the house. I stayed at a friend's place for a couple of days to clear my head. During that time, I did a lot of thinking about my past and my relationship with my parents. I remembered how my dad always chose his girlfriend over me, and how my mom prioritized her new family over her own son. I thought about all the milestones in my life that they missed and how they never even bothered to check in on me or my grandmother. But then I also thought about my fiancée and how much I love her. She's been my rock through so many tough times, and I know that she only wants what's best for me. I realized that maybe I was being too stubborn and that I should at least hear my parents out. So I went back home and had a long talk with my fiancé. We both apologized for our actions and agreed to work on our communication. I also decided to meet with my parents, but on my own terms. I sent them an email saying that I was willing to meet with them, but only if they agreed to come clean about everything that happened in the past. I wanted to know why they abandoned me and why they never bothered to reach out until now. A few days later, we met up at a coffee shop. It was awkward at first, but then my dad started talking. He told me that he had always regretted sending me away, and that he had been too weak to stand up to his girlfriend. He said that he had tried to reach out to me over the years, but my grandmother always turned him away. My mom, on the other hand, seemed more defensive. She said that she had been young and selfish when she had me and that she wasn't ready to be a mother. She claimed that she had always loved me, but that she didn't know how to show it. I listened to their stories, but I couldn't help but feel like they were making excuses for their actions. They had abandoned me when I needed them the most, and no amount of apologies could change that. In the end, I told them that I appreciated them reaching out, but that I needed more time to process everything. I said that I wasn't ready to forgive them just yet, but that I was willing to work on our relationship if they were willing to put in the effort. They seemed disappointed, but they agreed to give me space. My dad even offered to pay for my wedding as a way to make amends, but I turned him down. I didn't want his money. I just wanted him to be a better father. Since then, things have been a bit tense with my fiancé. She still thinks that I should forgive my parents and invite them to the wedding, but I'm not ready for that yet. I know that she means well, but I need to do what's best for me. Anyway, that's where things stand now. I'm still trying to figure out my feelings towards my parents, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Thanks again for all your support and advice. It really means a lot to me. Am I the idiot for not using evidence of my ex's hidden assets in our custody battle? When our first child was born, my ex forced me to quit my job. When our second child was 2, I found out about his affair. By then, he was extremely verbally, emotionally, and sometimes physically hurtful. When he abused our firstborn, I put him out. That was in 2012. I couldn't afford daycare to work and had no family support. He refused to give me any money to take care of the kids, saying, "The courts haven't ordered me to give you a dime." He lied to the bank and had my accounts frozen and even attacked me when I filed for a default in the divorce. The judge finally ordered him to pay child and spousal support 6 months after I kicked him out. It was $2,562 a month. He refused to pay it until the garnishment kicked in, and by then, he was $6,000 behind in support. I used that to get permission to move away. I remarried a year after the divorce. I checked the court docs, and there was a little box that said spousal support stopped upon remarriage if that box was checked. It wasn't checked, so I figured I was good. Instead of filing for his retirement, I just took that year of spousal support, $12,000, and left it alone. Spousal support was only ordered for 2 years. In 2017, he filed for sole custody of the kids out of nowhere. That was when he found out I had remarried, and he had paid spousal support to me during the first year of my marriage. I told him I took that money instead of filing for my share of his retirement. I said if he let me keep that $12,000, I wouldn't file to split his 401k. He demanded that I repay the spousal support. The judge ordered me to repay it, but increased child support and deducted the repayment from that. It ended up that I got an extra $20 a month and he repaid himself. He dropped his bid for custody in exchange for 2 extra weeks in summer. I pursued the retirement account split. He refused to cooperate and dragged it out for 4 years. It was so bad they sanctioned him and he had to pay me $600 a month for a year in addition to child support. They also charged him with contempt. In January 2021, he proposed to his girlfriend. In May of 2021, I finally got the disbursement from his 401k. I won't say how much it was, but it was about 4 times the amount of spousal support overpayment. I had no idea it would be that much. I had thought it would be around $12,000, which is why I thought keeping that year of spousal and not filing for his retirement account was a fair trade. Had he not tried to take the kids from me, I never would have filed to split the account. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. His fiancée emailed me recently and told me it is my fault he won't marry her because I cleaned out his retirement account. She said I shouldn't have stolen his money. I told her that I gave him the option to let me keep that year of spousal support or take it back, and I could file for his retirement. He chose to have me file for his retirement. I told her that if he really wanted to marry her and protect his assets, they could get a prenup so he wouldn't have to worry about it. She said she shouldn't have to sign a prenup because I robbed him. I never asked to be financially dependent on him. He clearly indicated he wanted a court order to take care of his kids, so I got him one. I tried to be fair and take the lesser amount. He wouldn't let me. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I wish his fiancée all the luck in the world. She's going to need it in a few years when she is in the exact same spot you were in. Good for you for getting out. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You're not at fault for his own carelessness. Even with your warning, he still pursued this path. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a wild few days since I last posted. The day after my ex's fiancé emailed me, I received a call from my lawyer. Apparently, my ex had filed a motion claiming that I had fraudulently obtained the retirement funds and was demanding that I return the money immediately. I was shocked and confused, as the court had already ruled in my favor on this matter. My lawyer advised me to gather all the documentation related to the case, including the email exchange with my ex's fiancé. As I was going through my emails, I stumbled upon an old message from my ex that I had completely forgotten about. It was sent just a few days before he proposed to drop his bid for custody in exchange for the extra weeks in summer. In the email, he admitted that he knew he had no chance of winning sole custody and was only pursuing it to punish me for remarrying. He also mentioned that he had hidden assets during our divorce proceedings and that if I agreed to his terms, he wouldn't pursue the matter further. I was stunned. I had always suspected that he had hidden assets, but I never had any proof. With this email, I finally had the evidence I needed to expose his lies in court. However, I was hesitant to use it. I knew that if I revealed this information, it would likely result in a full-scale investigation into our divorce settlement, which could drag on for months or even years. I thought back to our marriage and how controlling and hurtful he had been. I remembered the countless nights I had spent crying myself to sleep, wondering how I would provide for our children on my own. I also thought about how hard I had worked to rebuild my life after the divorce, and how much I had sacrificed to ensure that our kids had a stable home. In the end, I decided to keep the email to myself. I knew that pursuing this matter would only cause more pain and suffering for everyone involved, especially our children. They had already been through so much, and I didn't want to put them through another legal battle. Instead, I focused on preparing for the upcoming hearing. My lawyer and I worked tirelessly to gather all the necessary documentation and evidence to prove that I had obtained the retirement funds legally. We also reached out to my ex's former employer to confirm the details of his retirement account and the amount that had been disbursed to me. On the day of the hearing, I was a nervous wreck. I knew that my ex would stop at nothing to make me look bad in front of the judge. As I sat in the courtroom, I could feel his eyes boring into me, filled with hatred and resentment. But as the hearing progressed, it became clear that my ex had no case. The judge quickly dismissed his motion, stating that the matter had already been settled and that there was no evidence of fraud on my part. My ex stormed out of the courtroom, clearly angry and frustrated. As I left the courthouse that day, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I knew that I had made the right decision by not using the email against my ex. I had risen above his pettiness and had proven that I was the better person. Looking back on everything that had happened, I realized that my ex's behavior had nothing to do with me. He was a deeply troubled individual who had never taken responsibility for his actions. He had always blamed others for his problems and had never learned to let go of his anger and resentment. I also realized that I had been carrying around a lot of guilt and shame about our marriage and divorce. I had always felt like I had failed somehow, like I hadn't been a good enough wife or mother. But as I reflected on everything I had been through, I realized that I had done the best I could under incredibly difficult circumstances. I had been a single mother, struggling to make ends meet while also dealing with an hurtful ex-husband. I had sacrificed so much to ensure that our children had a stable and loving home, even when it meant putting my own needs and desires on hold. And through it all, I had never given up. I had never stopped fighting for what was right, even when it seemed like the whole world was against me. I had persevered, and I had come out stronger on the other side. As I looked to the future, I knew that there would be more challenges ahead. But I also knew that I had the strength and resilience to face whatever life threw my way. I had my children, my new husband, and a newfound sense of self-worth and confidence, and that was enough. That was more than enough. Thank you for reading my update. I appreciate all the support and kind words from everyone here. It means more than you know. Am I the idiot for canceling my wedding because my fiancé wanted to bring his kids on our honeymoon? Update. I, female 28, have been in a relationship with my fiancé Tyler, male 42, for the last 4 years. He has 2 children from his previous marriage. The children are 8.5-year-old boy and 11-year-old girl. His wife passed away when his youngest was 1-year-old. He met me 3 years later. His children are wonderful and lovely, and we get along great. We live together. I do everything for them since Tyler works long hours. They call me mom, but they are aware of who their real mom is. We have her pictures in their rooms, and Tyler talks about her to them all the time. We are planning our wedding. My father offered his condo in Hawaii to us so we can enjoy our honeymoon there. It was a very kind and generous offer. When I told Tyler, he was so grateful. Then he said, "I bet the kids will have a blast." I looked at him in disbelief and said, "Kids?" He said, "Yes." I said, "That's our honeymoon. I don't want to be a mom on my honeymoon. We can go on plenty of family trips later, but this is our honeymoon." He said, "I was honest with you from day one. I told you I'm a package deal. You can't just choose me, not my kids." I told him I understand, but can they stay with his mom for 1 week? Just for our honeymoon. He got very frustrated and said he couldn't believe how insensitive and selfish I was being. Am I the idiot to expect to have a child-free honeymoon? Added later, "Okay," I said I won't reply because I was emotional. I went for a long bath. I'm off today. I'm better now. 1. I was into him. I pursued him. I thought he was younger. He told me about his real age, his kids, his late wife from the first moment. He even said he would understand if I say no. I loved him. I loved how honest, kind, and caring he was. 2. Do I feel loved after giving him oral intimacy? Yes, I do. He has a higher intimacy drive, so I just give him oral intimacy when he wants intimacy. Yes, he kisses me every time afterwards. He cuddles until we go to sleep. I take care of myself later, mostly during my morning showers. No, he never pulled his gun at me. He is not a violent man. Lately, we have had more quickies, mostly because I'm very tired, but I don't like to turn him down. 3. We don't have alone time or date nights. True. But it doesn't mean he doesn't say he loves me or he is not affectionate. 4. I decided to cancel everything. I don't think he is ready, and we need to have a serious talk. I also need to know if he can even have kids, or if he had a vasectomy. Either way, we are not ready to be married. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. Hey OP, I just got this email from you in the future and wanted to pass it on. Damn, I really wish I paid attention to all the red flags. I trusted what he said and ignored how what he did told me something very different. It was never the right time for more kids. I should have known based on his age and refusal to set a clear timeline. Now I'm 35 years old, divorced, and it may be too late for me to meet someone and have kids. I should have run when he insisted that I nanny his kids on my freaking honeymoon. The lotto numbers on June 8th, 2027 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Powerball is 6. Comment 2. Not the idiot, it's weird he wants the kids on your honeymoon. You should really take a step back from this. It's fine to want to put your kids as a priority, but he is telling you plain and clear that no matter what the situation, you will always be an afterthought. Think what that means for if you do have more kids with him, how will he treat you when you are pregnant and need more support? Again, it's very, very weird. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thank you so much for your comments and support on my last post. It means a lot to me. I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening this past week. After I decided to cancel the wedding, I sat down with Tyler to have a serious talk. I explained to him that I felt we weren't ready for marriage, and that there were some important issues we needed to discuss. He seemed surprised but agreed to listen. I brought up my concerns about not having enough alone time together, and the fact that we hadn't really discussed our future plans, including whether he wanted more children. Tyler admitted that he had been so focused on his kids and work that he hadn't realized how much our relationship had taken a back seat. He apologized for not making more of an effort to prioritize our time together. As for the question of more children, he revealed that he had indeed had a vasectomy after his youngest was born. He said he had been meaning to tell me, but wasn't sure how to bring it up. This new information threw me for a loop. I had always imagined myself having children of my own one day. The realization that this might not be possible with Tyler hit me hard. I felt a mix of emotions, sadness, anger, and confusion. I couldn't help but wonder if he had kept this from me intentionally. Over the next few days, I struggled to process everything. I found myself questioning our entire relationship. Had I been so blinded by love that I had ignored red flags? I thought back to the early days of our relationship when Tyler had first introduced me to his kids. I remembered how excited I was to be a part of their lives, but also how overwhelming it felt at times to take on such a big responsibility so quickly. As I reflected on the past 4 years, I realized that I had been putting everyone else's needs before my own. I had poured all of my energy into being a good partner and mother figure, but in the process, I had lost sight of my own dreams and desires. I knew I needed to take a step back and figure out what I really wanted for myself. When I finally sat down with Tyler again, I was honest about my feelings. I told him that I loved him and his children deeply, but that I also needed to prioritize my own happiness. I explained that I had always dreamed of having children of my own and that I wasn't sure if I could give that up. Tyler listened intently and said he understood. He admitted that he should have been more upfront about his vasectomy and apologized for not considering my feelings more. In the end, we decided to take a break from our relationship to give ourselves time to think things through. It was a difficult decision, but we both agreed it was necessary. I moved out of our shared home and into my own apartment. The kids were understandably upset, but we did our best to explain the situation in an age-appropriate way. This past week has been very eventful of emotions. There have been moments of sadness and uncertainty, but also moments of clarity and self-discovery. I've started seeing a therapist to work through some of my feelings and to figure out what I want for my future. I know that I still love Tyler and his children, but I also know that I need to love myself first. I'm not sure what the future holds for us, but I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on my own personal growth and figuring out what truly makes me happy. I know that whatever happens, I'll be okay. I'm stronger than I give myself credit for. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It means more than you know. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!